Hello, good afternoon. I hope you guys are doing great. Thank you for being here. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead. If this vlog found you, there's a reason, and that's a good enough reason to subscribe. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up if you want to. You don't have to. And but the main thing is share it, because a lot more people may benefit, or at least will make themselves consider different options besides what their reality is. Okay. Yesterday I uploaded a mini blog just suggesting you guys watch a documentary on the Taino culture, and today I'm gonna talk a little bit more about what I explained about the DNA that my results were about. And I was looking into another part of my results, and it's about Neanderthal. In this genome project test, they also check how much of the Neanderthal or Denisovans or other, what would be that? What word can I use? Like archaic human? What was before Homo sapiens sapiens, which is us human today. Okay, so in the test, the maximum score I believe is 5%. My percent of Neanderthal was 1.2. The Neanderthal lived outside of Africa, and they were mostly in the European area. Okay, so they belong in the Stone Age, and it's important because what I'm trying to get to is that timeline that connects what I think made me at some point through my ancestors, made me capable today of having this extrasensory perception and these experiences in paranormal activities. So, okay, and during the Stone Age, there was the Paleolithic and Mesolithic and Neolithic sub-eras, okay? And we're talking about millions of years ago, and we're talking about when the human species started using tools, and that was before written information such as the available in the Sumerian Tablets. And nowadays most historians, or everything that has to do with history, civilization history, tell us that it began in Sumeria. Okay, that's okay, but obviously to get to that point there had to be something before that, and that's where I'm trying to connect these little things. Okay, so I do have Neanderthal, and I do have African and European and Native American and Middle Eastern genes, and I believe that in those genes, each one of them, there's a special characteristic that make me who I am. And for example, in the Neanderthal genes, they can tell my body to react to certain I'm sorry, to certain allergies, to be more prone to develop conditions such as diabetes, stuff like that. That's what also phenotype. I maybe it wasn't from my genes from Africa, maybe it wasn't from my genes from Asia, maybe it was from my genes from being a Neanderthal that I have my hair color, my height, my body, stuff like that. So why can't we give it some consideration to the possibility of this extrasensory perception being one of those characteristics. Why can't we consider that I can feel certain things because in my history, genetic history, those things were necessary traits to survive? Why is it so hard to think that maybe before we had oral language, we had telepathy? Why is it so difficult to think that what all of these original civilizations and tribes and cultures talk about spiritual beings existing and communicating? Why don't we consider that it is possible that before technology and before judgment, maybe that was a given? Maybe we needed, as a species, information provided to us via different alternatives through magnetic information, okay, or electric information. It is possible. I honestly think that when we nowadays have phones like the one I have, and computers and satellites, we should be at least curious, or at least use our imagination to believe the possibility of being dealt with on a genetic level, and this specific traits had been encoded into them. So it shouldn't be an abnormal thing when people do have it. Okay? There is so much data that it's important that we don't ostracize, we don't judge what we don't know. We should at least consider it to be a possibility, and not to think that one person is crazy because they can have perception of a different or alternative reality that we don't see normally with our normal senses. So it is possible, and that's what I want to take us into that journey. Okay, we are not alone, we are not crazy. So let's just use what archaeology, anthropology, physics, and history in general brought all the way here. So using that, I was researching and going back to origins. I went to 9,000 years ago, according to archaeological findings. There's a place in Turkey, the country, that it's called Halin Semi, and it's stated, it's the carbon data shows that it was an area, a site that was used. It was like a village, okay? And what's interesting, why I mention that, is because, and with this I'm going to try to wrap this for today. There's so much information, but for today. In Spanish, the word Hallan, as it's spelled in the name of this place, is Hallan. In Spanish, that word means they found, hallan. We don't sound the H, but it's hallan. And if we translate that word in English, is they found. Okay, so why did I choose this Turkish word to translate it into pure Spanish, because I was using the Google Translation app, and it provides, they can detect, it can detect the original language, and you can ask for it to translate into any other language. But I allowed it to detect it and then change it first in English, but then eventually the only word that I could translate it to that had a meaning was from Turkish to Spanish. That's my native language. So it wasn't difficult. Okay, ayan, they found. That's great. The second word is semi, which was what caught my attention the most, because semi, it's the name we give, Taino word, that we use for either a deity or ancestor or a spirit. Ayan semi. If I'm going to say that in Spanish, that means they found God, or they found an ancestor, or they found a spirit. That's the name of that place that was built and lived in Turkey 9,000 years ago. Okay? But it does not end right there. The second word, semi, I already explained in Taino what it means, but using the Google Translation app, it wasn't a coincidence. It's just that I've heard of this language a few weeks ago, and that just stuck in my brain for some reason. That doesn't happen with everything, but when it does, I use it. So I already mentioned Neanderthal. I already mentioned Neolithic era, which was in the Stone Age era. And semi, I use the translator to detect what language can this other word semi would mean. And it was very interesting, because semi in Yoruba, which is a language that millions of African people in the west coast countries of Africa, they speak Yoruba. A lot of people in the world speak Yoruba, African. That language goes all the way back to the Neolithic era. So the system, the translator gave me the translation, and semi in Yoruba means a lot of gold. No, I'm sorry, a lot of money. That's semi means a lot of money in Yoruba. Okay? So if I'm going to translate that, ayan semi, if I'm going to translate it in Spanish, means they found a lot of money. And that's the name of that place. Why is it important? Because my mom was born in a place near Jayuya, and she was raised in Jayuya, which is a town from this island. It's in the very center of the island, and they have a semi museum shaped in the form of a semi. And in the video, the documentary, you were able to see one of the first depictions of spirits or gods in the form of the semi. That's my connection to this, because why will it be called semi? Why would it be Yoruba? Why it would connect with my mother, my mitochondrial DNA? Okay? And I've been speculating, but I'm gonna get there. that there is something about genetic manipulation that also included this capacity to connect with either highly advanced civilization ancestors that they made sure in the genes those abilities were passed down because it was going to be serving a purpose maybe now or maybe in the future, and or extraterrestrials, humans, came over here and intervened with us. Maybe it wasn't like in a lab, but they, as we humans, maybe we did assimilate with them, like the Homo sapiens did with the Neanderthal people, you know. And maybe we do have these traits because they had those, and maybe it's not normal in this planet, but maybe it is normal in their planet. Okay, so I'm gonna leave you with this. It's been 16 minutes. There's so much information that I want to share, but I hope you like what I've been giving you, and tomorrow I'll give you more information. Now I'm going to work. It's 3 o'clock, and I've been doing a lot of stuff today, so I'm gonna go and earn some money. Thank you again. We're not alone. We're not crazy. We have evidence. And I hope you have a beautiful afternoon. Thank you. Bye-bye.